Hey beautiful people, this video is about defining definition of done in project management. I've done a couple of other videos in this series and they will hopefully help you as well, but this particular one focuses on how defining definition of done actually helps us in our project management and helps us support more effective project status and project reliability. So a really well-crafted definition of done, or multiple definitions of done through the project, is a powerhouse for coordination across the project. And it works in any project environment. So if you think about the types of projects that you end up working on, if you understand not the definition of done as something that is static and has been handed down to you, but as I talked about in an earlier video, but definition of done as something that has been co-invented between you and whoever your internal customer is, or between you as a customer and whoever your internal performer is, or your performance team is. You understand the enormous power that you now have in terms of shifting how people think about projects in terms of static and controlled and defined environments to something that is much more dynamic and something that gives us a window into the type of skills that we need to build in order to be able to work really well in an agile, complex, fast-moving environment. The reason why definition of done is so critical in projects is that most projects don't fail primarily because of technical issues. If they fail because of technical issues, it's because there were multiple other failures ahead of that that led to the unraveling of the technical delivery capability. Really what happens is they come as a result of unmet or misaligned expectations. Now, where the wheels begin to come off the bus is usually at the stage of the alignment around definition of done. And by that I'm not saying that we are rubber stamping or signing off on a document that says you need to sign this in blood, this is the definition of done, this is what you're delivering on. What I'm talking about is the ability of highly capable, highly intelligent people to have conversations around definitions of done. So we can look at the difference between acceptance criteria and definition of done. Acceptance criteria are much more defined. There's something that we've done before. We have standards around it. We have metrics around it. We have definition of functionality around it. And there might be certain elements of our project that we can apply acceptance criteria to. And acceptance criteria might be something that we would have taken for a particular part of work from another project that we had been on because they are portable, because they are static. That's the big difference. When we are talking about definition of done, it is something that is a lot more dynamic. Now, if you're a project lead or a project manager, or you're heading up a PMO, and I have done all of those things, or you're a project lead for the delivery of an entire project, done that as well, what I've seen is that once we hear static versus dynamic, we start thinking in terms of scope, and we start thinking in terms of our milestones, and we start thinking in terms of our demo death marches, and we start thinking in terms of the never-ending cycle of trying to get a project done. We start thinking in terms of 80-20. So that immediately makes us nervous. But what I'm encouraging you to do in here as we start thinking of definition of done in project management is looking at it as something that will fundamentally de-risk our projects. So it's not the artifact of the definition of done, although that is important, but it's the capacity of your team to be able to have the conversations to define done together, to co-invent done between a customer and a performer for a particular piece of work, be it at the micro or the macro level. So what you're looking to do is you're looking to, yes, have the artifacts, right? But the artifacts will be obsolete and out of date in 3 months' time or 6 months' time, depending on the speed at which your environment is moving or your market is moving around you. But the capacity to be able to have the conversation, knowing that you're working in a dynamic environment, but knowing that you have milestones and deadlines and timelines that you need to deliver on, that ability building that capacity within a project team's capability is absolutely essential if you're going to start including a very, very useful tool called definition of done into your project management capabilities. If you want to look at the difference between your acceptance criteria versus your definition of done, the other thing to remember is that while your acceptance criteria are static and well defined, your definition of done is contextual, it's negotiated, it is human-centered, and it accounts for what will make the work satisfying and what will open the door for innovation to be incorporated into your project if it is done well. Now, if it is done in the traditional task management approach, where the leadership team, the department head, the team lead, the head of the project define all the definition of done before the project has started, and the new people coming on into the project are handed a definition of done, then what you've done is you have devalued the capacity of the tool or the framework that you're bringing in. If you look at definition of done as being a conversation that is to some extent ongoing, and I don't mean divergent ongoing in terms of expectations, it creates alignment and expectation management if it's well handled. Your definition of done is something that you do the first iteration of design on, and it becomes to some extent an ongoing conversation throughout the duration of the project as the customer for the work and as the performer for the work increase their understanding of exactly where the project is headed, what value it's delivering, what the metrics are, what the results are, and the alignment begins to happen across the entire project team. So one of the ways to introduce this discipline, this practice, this framework of definition of done into a project environment is to co-create the definition of done from the beginning with the customers and performers as identified in the project. And that definition of done then needs to live dynamically between those conversations and those people who are involved. Document and revisit your definition of done as you do milestone reviews, because as I said a moment ago, it moves, it shifts, it's going to change. Now, you want to be looking at, are there huge variations in the changes, or are we simply refining our understanding? Ideally, what's happening is you're refining your understanding and building greater depth and capability within your team. As we run our scrums, and we already have a practice around done within our projects, what we're looking to do is we can reinforce the idea that this is a shared understanding. It's not someone simply saying, I checked code back into the library, or checked code back into the code base, or I checked a box to say on this particular task in Jira that it was completed. That we actually begin to incorporate an understanding of shared understanding of what definition of done wherever we can and wherever it's practical and wherever it makes sense. Down at the micro task level, it may not make a lot of sense, but that says more about the fact that we're micromanaging than it necessarily does about the value of having a shared understanding of DoD. It's also super valuable to use as a learning lens for retrospectives. For once you reach a particular milestone, you're going back and looking, did we have powerful conversations for design around definition of done? Was that something that we were able to keep alive for the duration of the project? Did we have a customer with unreasonable expectations who was increasing our scope while we were trying to reduce the scope as we were getting closer to a milestone? So I think those conversations and identifying who are the people who have that negotiation ability, that co-creation ability that really puts them in a position to be really excellent at defining definition of done with a customer or with a number of other people in the room who are contributing to building a shared understanding between those two, not necessarily voting on a definition of done designed and developed by consensus. Those things will kill you. So if you find this idea of definition of done in the context of commitments and conversations between customers and performers, really encourage you to have a look at some of the other videos that I've done, but also look at a free white paper that I have for you, which is called Execution by Design. And there's a link to it down below in the comments. It's also on my website under free resources. It's under www.jenniferkenny.com/execution. Let me know whether or not that's valuable for you, what you learned from it, and how your understanding of definition of of done is evolving and maturing as you become more sophisticated in your project management skills and in your project leadership skills. As you do, I wish you the best of luck. I hopefully can continue to support you. Take care and good luck.